I'm Lori Steers, and I'm an instructor in Trent's ESL program. And I'm delighted to introduce Julia Beddoe and Larissa Conley. They're both professors at Conestoga College in the English for Academic Studies program. Julia, before Conestoga, led sector-specific language and employment workshops, and Larissa has taught in Chile and Qatar. Larissa, on the side, is a co-founder of a YouTube channel called Extra English Practice, and she also posts daily on Instagram. And I checked it out just before I joined this morning, and it's really amazing. You have to check it out. It's called Extra English Practice. And there are oodles of videos there on every topic, from vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, idioms, and she has over 26,000 subscribers. So please check it out. And I'm really excited. I think we're in for a real treat today, pardon the pun, with appetizers and more. So thank you, Julia and Larissa.
And thank you for the pun. We are pun lovers. You'll see it all throughout the presentation. So good morning. As we begin this morning, I'd like to invite you to imagine you're standing in front of a breakfast buffet. And people approach buffets in different ways. Some people go straight to their favorite foods and load up on those. Other people use it as an opportunity to try something new because it's a low risk environment. Maybe you go for the hearty foods, get your money's worth. We're hoping that that metaphor will translate into today's lesson. We want to present to you 15 activities in buffet style, and hopefully something you see today will whet your appetite and get you excited about including them in your lessons and English language contexts in the coming weeks.
That's great. Thank you, Larissa. Larissa has put our game board up for us here. As you will see, we have 5 different categories, starting from lower tech. Get up out of your seat, which we all need in these Zoom days. Appetizers, straight to the PowerPoint, and my personal favorite, leftovers, because we know that can be the best part of a meal. We wanted to provide you with the resource sheet right from the start. There'll be lots of opportunities to participate, so we don't want you to have to take too many notes as we go. So I think with that, Larissa, you can start us off.
Yes, so we're going to start with lower tech and go through the categories like this. The resource sheet, the link to the resource sheet is in the chat box if you haven't done that yet. So we'll start with lower tech for one, and it is audio charades. So I should just say, in this category of lower tech, these are activities you can do just using the features within Zoom.
Okay, when we think of charades, we often think about acting things out, but our spin on it is a little bit different. We're going to use the camera and turn it off to make use of the microphone. And we get students to guess what we're doing at the moment. So we're actually going to try this out right now. I'm going to turn off my video, and I want you to put a sentence in the chat box that with present progressive. So remember, we've been practicing this all week. That's the verb to be with verb ing. And I want you to write, what am I doing right now? Okay, here we go. Number 1. Any guesses in our chat box? What am I doing? Ooh, swimming. Good guess. I like that, Robert. I'm not swimming. Let's see if we can get another guess. Eating peanuts. I am not eating peanuts, but I am almost eating chips. It's never too early for some chips. So we'll try another one. what am I doing right now? Here we go. Oh, zipping. Right, I am zipping. I'm closing a zipper. I'm doing up my coat. Excellent. We'll need that coat today. It certainly is snowy in Kitchener here. So as you can see, it's a fun way to get people engaged.
We like to say that every activity can be adapted to fit almost any context or level. And so we'd like, as we present the different activities, we want to talk about other ways that they can be used as well. So this can also be used for vocabulary. It's unlikely you have a list of words that all have an audio cue, but think about maybe a more advanced class. You could have them make associations with words and a sound. What could you associate with this kind of sound? The zipper, maybe this has to do with frigid temperatures, if that's one of your words. It's also a great icebreaker, a great way to get to know each other and build community. Excuse me. Move on to lower tech for 2, Alex. This is chat box, guess who?
That's right, and the chat box is one of the Zoom features that students become most comfortable with early on if you're using Zoom. And so it makes a great tool for online classes. In chat box, guess who? Perhaps we'll take a grammar point like the simple past of be, and I'll ask students to write a sentence in the chat box using was or were. But I'll change the setting so that all the messages come to me and no one else. And then I'll cut and paste one sentence at a time on the whiteboard, and people have to guess who wrote this sentence. Maybe it's, I was a banker 20 years ago. I was awake at 2 o'clock last night. That's a great example, Larissa. And we see who's good at strategy, because some people, maybe the person who said she was a banker 20 years ago, maybe she said that on the first day of class, right? So it becomes a fun way to get to know each other. It can be helpful to do this before a 10-minute break so that I can go in and give some grammar feedback one-on-one.
Is also great. This can be used with any kind of sentence practice. Anywhere you would use a 2 truths and a lie game, you can do it like this, the chat box, guess who? So past tense, any tense, and also for community building. We're always looking for ways in this online world to build community. We don't have the same opportunities like we had in the classroom to really get to know each other. All right, one more lower tech activity, and this is We've Got Talent. I love this one. This is the best, my favorite class of the entire pronunciation course that I teach. In this one, I use it to teach can and can't, the intonation patterns, the stress patterns of can and can't. And what I'll do is put every student's name in a spinning wheel, and then it stops, and whichever student ends up on, I'll then change the slide to number 1 and ask them whether or not they can do that thing. So Julia, it looks like the first name is yours. Can you whistle happy birthday?
I can whistle happy birthday.
Very good. Julia can whistle happy birthday. I can whistle happy birthday, and Julia can whistle happy birthday. We can both whistle happy birthday. We can ask follow-up questions if we want to, or we can just move on from there. This is so fun because sometimes students can't do it and we get a laugh. Sometimes they can, and it's really great. Janet, can I ask you? Number 2, can you do the Vulcan hand salute? Janet can do the Vulcan hand salute, and I can do the Vulcan hand salute. Sometimes I'll do things that are practical, things to actually do with your body, and sometimes something like number 3, can you say I love you in 3 languages? Can you name 3 cities in Ontario? So lots of variety here and lots of fun. Especially I like to do this about 3/4 of the way through the semester when we're getting bogged down with assessments. It's just nice to have something light, but also useful.
Clearly, it can be used to teach CAN for ability in a writing class or a speaking class. It could be used for tenses, such as with can and could. It could be used for sentence structure. So I could do cartwheels when I was a child, but I cannot do cartwheels now, for example.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, where shall we go next? What's whetting your appetite? Which one is really exciting to you at this moment? Get up out of your seat, appetizers, straight to the PowerPoint, or leftovers? Let's go straight to the PowerPoint.
I love it. That's great.
Straight to the PowerPoint. We're going to look at 3 different templates, PowerPoint templates that we love. And the first is tic-tac-toe or X's and O's, which is a little bit easier for students to understand than tic-tac-toe. This comes from the Technologic website. We are big fans of Technologic. Every template he has on there, he also provides instructions for how to adapt it, how to manipulate it, to personalize it. So all you really need is a basic functional understanding of PowerPoint, and you can use these incredible templates. So in this one, you can see every box has an option to be an X and O or some kind of text, and you enter the text. It can be a word or a sentence. I've added pictures as well, just to help my lower level students. And I like to add instructions and also divide up the students into teams before class, just to help me stay organized, make sure I'm choosing everybody and letting everybody have a chance to participate. So in this one, I'd like you to choose a word and tell me, is the vowel sound long or short? And then use it in a sentence. Julia, for Team X, you are first.
Okay, that's great. I'm going to choose drive right in the middle. And drive has a long vowel sound. And I can say, I like to drive in the summer, but I don't like to drive in the winter.
Yes, excellent. A long I sound in drive, and I don't like to drive in the winter either. So I'll give her an X. Ashtikaz is going to choose flip and tell me it's a short sound, flip, and she wants to do a flip someday. Now, inevitably, somebody doesn't understand the strategy and is going to, let's say we have something like this going on, and then the O will not choose rice, instead they'll choose brick, and we get a good laugh and some feigned anger. It's a great time.
You could use this in a variety of levels, in a variety of skills. You could use it for vocabulary or verb tenses, adverbs of frequency. Maybe I have different adverbs and I ask students to say them in a sentence. Could be sounds and segmentals. You could put, I believe you could put a sentence in there. Is that right, Larissa?
Yeah. Or
the start of a sentence as a prompt and have students finish the sentence. So lots of possibilities.
Okay, another PowerPoint that we love is Vanishing Squares. I use this one, not daily, but weekly, because it's so versatile. And Vanishing Squares, also from Technologic, it's set up like this, and there are 9 square and then larger ones with like 36 squares and larger. And it's already programmed so that when you click the number, the square disappears. You put a picture behind, and you can use it either for just revealing the picture and having students guess, for example, what is the vocabulary word? Or you can ask them to do something to earn the right to reveal the square. So I could ask for number 2, can you tell us a sentence with the word forgetful? And if the student does it accurately, then I would reveal it. It can also be used, instead of the numbers, you can change the numbers to words or sentences or some kind of prompt. Sometimes I'll put a question on there that students can then choose which one they want to answer. Or in this case, this is a lesson, an activity in a lesson about syllables. And so I would ask a student to, well, Julia, could you please pick one of these words?
Nature.
Nature. How many syllables are in the word nature?
Nature, 2 syllables.
That's right, 2 syllables. And then behind, instead of putting one large picture, I have put different, like everyone was kind of a small text box and picture so that students can see the answers as well. Once we've said them, they have a chance to also see them. So this is another way. This one is a little more labor intensive, but definitely doable if you have a basic understanding of PowerPoint.
For those of us who are tutors, this can be a great resource as well. I tutor a young friend of the family. I had his parents send me a picture of him and I hid it behind, and he had such a fun time revealing the squares and answering some questions. Could be for vocabulary or reviewing or really anything.
Our PowerPoint, this one's Julia's favorite.
This is my favorite. When we made that first transition to online learning, it was the dice that I missed the most because I use them, the physical dice, so much in my classroom. Thanks to the Technologic website, I found something that works even better. I put subjects on one die and I can put celebrities and my students' names, and I put verbs on the other, and I will invite someone to say stop. And then, so here we have an example, I enjoy dancing. So I will ask the student, okay, is the grammar right? We'll start with that. I gotta move my screen here. I enjoys, oh no, that doesn't work. It would have to be I enjoy dancing. And then I'll say, okay, is that true? Do you enjoy dancing? So we have a little fun with that. I got this from extra English practice. So I've also used it in the context of a reading class. I put the target vocabulary on one die. I put different parts of a word bank on the other. And when the person says stop, okay, Larissa, psychologist, what's the part of speech for psychology?
It's a noun.
Excellent, great. So that can be a lot of fun.
This can be used for vocabulary, collocations, subject-verb agreement, like we've seen, but also there's an option to use pictures instead of words. So you could use it for story building. And again, all the instructions are included on the website. Okay, appetizers, what do you think? Let's go to the
I could do with some appetizers.
The first one is Padlet. Maybe you're already using Padlet. Padlet is an online, a virtual bulletin board. And it's great because you don't need any login, you don't need an account. You can just have a link, send it to students, and they can use it. So if you look in the chat box, you can see a link to this Padlet. I'd like to invite you to add to it if you wish. You can just click on that plus at the bottom or double click anywhere on the Padlet and answer the question, where do you want to visit? Why do you want to go there? So this particular one is used for practicing complex sentences with because, but it could be, you could use any kind of grammar point here or language point. So where do you want to visit? Why do you want to go there? You can see my example, I included my name and I included a picture, which was just part of the options. You can add photos as well. You can add your own from your device or from Padlet's bank, or other people have chosen to add anonymously, and that's okay as well. Somebody wants to visit Niagara Falls. Yeah, it's beautiful in the winter. Wonderful. So as you're continuing to do that, I'm going to let Julia show you another one that she uses. Here we go.
So in this not PowerPoint, in this Padlet, I use the column feature in a reading class. So I've done it with prefixes and we brainstorm words with certain prefixes. In this case, I used some of our harder target words. I had students vote in a Zoom poll on which words they had most difficulty with. I put one word in each column and my students made a sample sentence. I was able to comment in the comments below to give feedback or to just have a little conversation. And it's a nice activity.
Oh, someone wants to go to Belize. Take me with you. Also, this is great for brainstorming, warming up, or reviewing. It could be an exit ticket, writing sentences, writing anything. Love that it's just so easy to use. Our second appetizer is Answer Garden.
Answer Garden is a great option because it's very user-friendly. There's no login, it's live. It's good for short, kind of discrete answers, and it shows the popularity of an answer as well, if everyone has the same spelling. So let's see if I can find.
All right, I've got it.
Okay,
you can look in the chat there for Answer Garden.
Yeah. So in this Answer Garden, we're asking which activity is your favorite so far. So we've done a number of activities from the chat box, Guess Who, and right down to Padlet. What are some of your favorite activities so far?
And you see the more popular answers show up bigger, and this is happening live. Super. You might need to refresh your screen sometimes. Oh, no, don't do that. Just let it refresh on its own. Thank you. We have one more appetizer. Let's see what it is. Delicious. Quizlet. Do you use Quizlet? This is online flashcards for students. I'll show you an example. These are a set of flashcards that are for adjectives to describe personality. I like to assign these for review or preview of vocabulary. Let students use them asynchronously mostly. There's so much they can do. So they can look at the words and see the definitions that I have put in. Also, the pictures are part of Quizlet, so you don't have to go looking for your own images. It automatically includes an audio. And then once they've practiced with the cards, there are other options. They can practice writing, spelling. There are games also that they can play to help them really get used to and comfortable with this vocabulary. So brave means courageous. If you want to play around with that, it's in the chat box for you. But Quizlet, it takes a little bit of time to set it up. But if you're using the same vocabulary sets over and over, it's definitely worth the investment.
And I'd also just add that it's very collaborative. So maybe you're using a certain textbook, you could search for that in Quizlet and it will bring up what somebody else has already prepared. You might just want to vet it first, make sure that it's correct, but that's another option. So it can be great, sorry.
Free.
No, that's okay. You can use it for collocations, for example, or for irregular verb forms. It can be really useful.
Okay, I think it's time to get up out of our seats a little bit. The first way we do that is with the red green show.
Okay, in this activity, it's great for binary questions. So yes, no, true, false, adjective, noun. And the get out of your seat part is that you have to find something red and something green. Larissa, do you have something red and something green? Excellent.
I do.
You can use this for listening comprehension or reading comprehension. Larissa, our lecture today, I'm going to ask you a question about that. According to the lecture, 46% of people prefer working from home. Is that true, green, or false, red? You're right, it's false. Did you hear the accurate statistic?
64%.
Excellent, you're right, absolutely right. That's great.
So as Julia said, this is good for anything where there's a yes, no, true, false, A or B option. So comprehension and reading or listening, minimal pairs, grammatical errors. You can say a sentence, is it correct? Is it incorrect? And the nice thing is everyone can participate. Even if they don't feel comfortable speaking or they don't want to speak today, you can still get some formative assessment happening by just watching if they're putting up the red or the green. Maybe not the best for colorblind people, but everybody else can have a great time with this one. Another way to get up out of your seat is with a pronunciation ballet. Yes, you read that right, ballet, not actually. When I'm teaching stress in syllables, stress in words, I like to have some physical movement to help solidify this concept. So maybe you've used an elastic band before, or you've seen that done, pencil, evaluation, or I like to use my hand sometimes, forgetful, Canada. But another way to do it, just to get more movement into our class, is to stand up when you get to the stressed words. So I'll invite everybody to read with me, pencil, and stand with all the strong syllables. Paper, sunshine. And just like this morning, there are always going to be students who choose to not stand up, and that is completely fine. This is an invitation to get up out of your seat. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything, but it is a nice way just to build a little less sitting into our day, into our class.
It could be used for word or sentence stress, like we've seen. It could be used for intonation. Are you happy? No, anyways, I teach writing.
Are you happy?
There you go. Well done, Larissa. It could be for vowel length, right? We could have pit and peat. So you could show vowel length as well. I feel better with that little bit of movement.
Don't you?
Great.
Yeah. One more way to get up out of our seats. This is the 7th inning stretch. And this is really just building in a chance to relieve some stress in the middle of class. I especially like to do this at the end of a challenging activity. And just for 20 seconds, we're not taking a proper break. We're just moving. I try to be very explicit sometimes and catch students off guard. So I'll say, okay, everybody. And then I've got their attention with that dramatic pause. I want you to take your left hand. And then they're thinking, left, which one's my left? Left, right, I'm gonna figure it out. I've got them. Put your left hand up high. Okay, now put your other hand up and stretch and reach. And at this point, they know what I'm doing and they start to laugh. And, oh, she tricked me. She's just making me move, but she made me think it was something really serious. And usually people will play along with this. Sometimes I'll just say, okay, 10 seconds, stretch, do what you need to, but it's more effective if I'm really explicit with the instructions. And it is really helpful, like I said, after something that's been hard, challenging. If we've listened to a complex lecture, let's say, 20 seconds of stretching can really help to reduce all the stress that students are holding.
And at Conestoga College this week, we have midterms. So just yesterday, before we had an assessment, everyone was making comments about being nervous. And I said, okay, put your shoulders up to your ears, squeeze, 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 and release. And I want you to rub your hands, get that blood flowing up to your brain, and let go. I don't want to see your feet, but you can take your toes, curl them up, squish, 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 and let them go. And it can be a tension buster. And we usually get a few laughs and can start the assessment on a different tone.
Yeah, great. So what's left? Just the leftovers, Juliet's favorite. First one is show and tell.
Show and tell is another activity that actually is even better when students are at home. If you are doing virtual or blended virtual learning, I will, maybe at a break, invite students to find something. Could be something they made, something they got as a gift, or something from their home country. And then we'll talk about the object and answer questions from classmates.
We have, another way that I use this is as a warm-up. So I teach a lecture about the history of money. And so before we listen, I'll ask, does anybody have any currency, foreign currency? And they'll go off, go to their wallets or their secret stashes, wherever they keep their foreign currency, and come back and then show us on the screen money from all over the world. We wouldn't have been able to do this in class because nobody keeps foreign currency in their purse with them, but they've got it at home. And so it's a really nice way to include more realia than we used to in a virtual space. Also, this is great for community building. Again, we try to build in extra conversation practice wherever possible because it's just more challenging in the online space. And a great way for practicing question forms because we're asking follow-up questions after someone has shared their special item. Our second leftover is hit the road.
Hit the road. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has become an amateur videographer. I started to bring the world into the classroom with some short videos from around town. This one I used with students to talk about adverbs of manner and to some adjectives. And it just is an interesting way to get some real life situations.
But really can be used for anything. Julie used that one for grammar, also vocabulary, communication skills. You could very easily with your cell phone, be out, maybe you're at the store and you want to have a little interview with somebody, bring that in. That can be listening comprehension activity. It's very great for showing culture. We have an extreme example of this actually. One of our colleagues was teaching a class and one of her students happened to be at that moment in Ottawa at the changing of the guard. And so they shared their screen, or they turned the camera and showed everybody the changing of the guard. And they had a cultural field trip just on the spot because of this ability that we have now with cameras and the internet in our pocket. And so finally, our last leftover, this is battling cursors. It's really just shared docs. Julia and I use Office 365, but Google Docs will do exactly the same thing. I call it battling cursors because when more than one person is trying to write in the same space, there's a fight. And so we find out who is a little more aggressive. In the chat box, you'll see a link to this activity. I like to do something. I like to try to keep shared documents as organized as possible. to avoid intense battles, battling cursors, not warring cursors. In this case, these are sentences that are true about me. And I ask students to read them. And if they are also true for them, to write their name in the box beside. I never wear a watch. Julia never wears a watch. We have this in common. We both never wear a watch. So we can use this for all sorts of follow-up language use, but it's great for, see the battling cursors there? Lori, Robert, and Janet all fighting for that spot. I love it. It gives, it gives me a lot of joy. And I also love that I can see who's participating, what spot they're at in the activity. I like that this is live and we are all working together.
It works really well in breakout rooms for a couple of reasons. In writing classes, I often have students adding their sentences to a shared document. If they are in breakout rooms, I can add comments. I often add them in another color so they can tell that it's from me. I might say, oh, don't forget your punctuation or great conjugation. And also, I can tell when a group is stuck. So that would be the group that I go to visit first. And I find it's even more efficient than when I was in a classroom walking from group to group. That being said, this type of activity could be used in person as well, right? If everyone has their device or in a computer lab environment. Could be used for editing or interviews, and it's very helpful for sign-up sheets as well.
When I have a sign-up sheet though, I will have the link in the chat box and not send it yet. And I will tell everybody, I'm going to send the sign-up sheet. I'm going to count down from 5 because everybody wants a certain time. 5, 4, so they're ready to click on it and get the time they want. So that is our buffet. We have shared with you 15 different activities that you can use in your language learning context, whatever it is, whether you're tutoring or teaching academically or conversationally with newcomers, whatever you're doing. And we'd like to just spend a few minutes now, speaking of breakout rooms, giving you a chance to kind of show and talk about what you think you might use. Julia, do you have that link?
Yeah, I just got it ready.
We have one more shared doc that's coming. And so the questions would be, which of these activities do you think you might use? And in what context? Let's share your ideas. How can you adapt these? It's so helpful to hear other people's ideas. It helps our own creativity. So which of the activities might you try out and in which contexts? Second question is, what was interesting, new, or surprising? And then third, do you have an activity or a resource, a website that we didn't mention today that you would be willing to share with the rest of us? What is it? How do you use it? What are the basic instructions? Please feel free to add that to the shared doc so that we can have more than 15. This will be the dessert after this delicious breakfast buffet.
Okay, so I'm just getting these ready. Let's see here.
I think probably we have we'll just be a few minutes together. So, and enjoy some conversation with your colleagues. Maybe you'll make a new friend.
Here we go.
Snacks, that's a great way to put it. These are the snacks. Thanks, Lori.
I was just going to ask if you're following the chat because I was going to read it to you, but it sounds like you are. Good. Okay, so how much time do we have in the breakout rooms?
How much time do we have left altogether? We have about 10 minutes, 13 minutes till we're done. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe do 6 minutes in the breakout room and then questions. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay.
So some of us, I didn't Some of us may opt to go to a breakout room or not to go. We'll see.
Set a 5-minute timer from now. Sound okay?
I was on mute. We have 9:43. Yeah, that sounds good, Jay. Gives them just a little chance.
Yvonne, is it okay if I pause the recording for this part?
Absolutely, just in case. Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Okay, we hope you had some really great discussion and that you've got some good ideas of how you can spice up your lessons next week. I think we have a little bit of time for questions if you have any.
Yeah, one of the people in our group was asking about sharing videos on Zoom, and we ran out of time. So just throwing that out there, if somebody was willing to give a little bit of direction there.
So in terms of like the video of the train, is that what you're thinking about?
Or just any video in class. So while in class, being able to share a screen and play a video, I believe.
Right, there is one magic trick if on Zoom, if you're sharing a video, when you go to share your screen, there are two check boxes. One of them says share audio, I think, and the other says optimize for video. So you want to make sure that both of those are checked so that the people can see the video and hear the video clearly.
For sure, the share sound one. So they're at the bottom of the share screen. Optimize for video clip, you can use or cannot. I've had success with both, but the share sound, you have to click that one or they will not hear, or your audience will not hear very well.
I was wondering how we would get access to all those links once the chat's closed or once the Zoom is closed. How do we get access to those to play with them or practice?
That first, very first link, the resource sheet, maybe we can send it again.
Put that in again, yeah.
That's a PDF, but the links are clickable. So you'll just want to save that in your computer and you'll have it forever.
Great, thank you so much.
Or until your computer dies.
I think Yvonne is going to send out afterwards. I asked her in the chat if all these links that were given to us in the chat, she's going to compile them and send them out. Yeah.
Great.
Really, the thing you need is Technologic. If you have that one, you're good for a long while. It's amazing.
What is the cost involved for these techno links?
Everything we've shown today is free.
Anything I've shared in the chat is free as well.
Yeah.
Very good.
There are paid versions, but we've only used the free version in our lessons today, in our activities today. And there are sometimes limitations. So Padlet, for example, I think you can only create 5 unique Padlets under the free version. So as long as you're willing to create a new one rather than reuse and save and reuse, then you're going to be fine.
Does anybody else have any questions? We have about 5 minutes left with these amazing presenters. I think everyone agrees this has been fantastic, but we have 5 minutes left with them. So ask away any of your questions before we go on a break. Oh, Michael, thank you. You can save the chat to your computer by clicking the ... at the bottom of the chat box. Thank you, Michael. And Janet sent a link to the Extra English Practice YouTube.
Oh, there we are.
With the actual sharing of a game, once you share your screen, anybody can access it the same way, or you have to
No,
set that up?
you're gonna have, for the Technologic website, the PowerPoint games. Yeah, you'll have to manually manipulate everything. So you can ask students to say something, but you need to click. And I recommend for all the Technologic PowerPoints, use the full web
Desktop.
the desktop version of PowerPoint. The web version, there will be glitches. It won't work. So just make sure I tend to use the 365 version, the online, but I switched to the desktop version for those so that everything works well.
Janet Hunter made a good point in the chat that Extra English Practice, it is a YouTube channel, but they are currently posting every day on Instagram. So you want to follow them on Instagram, Extra English Practice. And Cynthia Hux is asking, where do you save the video, the chat? So if you press those 3 dots, Cynthia, it'll say save chat, and then it goes on to your hard drive, I believe, under a folder that says Zoom.
Or is that question, Cynthia, more about the video that Julia shares in her class? Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Julia?
So I actually put it into YouTube. So that might be an extra step there. So I will upload it to my YouTube channel, and then I just put a YouTube link into the course shell or the chat box, or show it for the students. So there's another step there.
Sorry, YouTube is great because you can keep it, private won't work, but if you keep it undisclosed, what do we call that? What's the word for that?
I forget
It's
the word.
private, public, and
The one in the middle.
the one in the middle, where only those who have the link, anyone with the link can see it, but you can't search it. That's a great option.
it's the one in the middle you want to choose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starts with a U, I think. Unlisted. Unlisted.
There we go.
Okay.
Microsoft Office.
There.
Okay, if there are no final questions, maybe we'll wrap it up and we'll take a 15-minute break. But first of all, I just want to thank you both so much. That was, I think it's unanimous that it was so, the time just flew, as I'm sure it does for your students, because it was interactive, it was fun, it was immediately applicable, it was easy to use. I think all of us are walking away with all kinds of things we can use immediately. And in my breakout group in particular, we were saying how, oh, we've become so, got to get this done, got to get this done, got to cover the curriculum. And we've forgotten to add some fun. So you've inspired us to do that. So thank you so much, both of you. It was really amazing.
It's our pleasure. We wish you all the best as you continue in your teaching context.
And thank you so much for your energy and your participation. That made all the difference.